What's going on, guys? The topic of this video is Conor McGregor. Of course, we're going to be talking about the notorious and infamous, the biggest star in the sport, in the history of the sport. And we're going to be talking about, does he have what it takes to become the champion of the lightweight division, the most stacked and dangerous division in the UFC? And does he have what it takes to become a true champion? And for those of you guys who are not familiar with my channel, my content already, when I say a true champion, I mean someone who's obviously a champion and self-explanatory, but I mean someone who has the potential, if they have not already done so, to beat every other contender. Khabib Nurmagomedov, sorry, I butchered his name. He was a true champion. He beat Conor McGregor. He beat Dustin Poirier. You know what I'm saying? He beat Justin Gaethje. Kamaru Usman is a true champion. He beat Colby Covington. He beat Jorge Masvidal twice. He's already beaten Leon Edwards. He already beaten Starch Gilbert Burns. You feel me? And those are people who everyone thought could be champion when he retires, or could have been champion on any given night. And in the lightweight division, obviously the most infamous and the most notorious division in the entire sport. On any given night, any of those guys could be champions, excluding Khabib. Why excluding Khabib? Because he was a true champion. He showed that he was a level above them. Granted, you could say his fighting style is too one-dimensional, but when you're overly dominant, you have to force your opponents to adapt to you. So that's just there are pros and cons to every fighting style, and he just maximized his pro, and no one was able to beat him or has beaten him, and that's self-explanatory. You know, he's the eagle. But going back to Conor McGregor, we're going to be talking about his abilities, we're going to be going over his record, and then the updates that he's given us, what we've seen from his film, whether it's training videos, whether it's, his fight with Dustin Poirier, Donald Cerrone, even though Donald Cerrone obviously isn't much to go off of. We're just going off of him as a whole, maybe his mentality too, and how that could affect his fight coming forward on UFC 253, if I'm not mistaken, 264. It's just July 10th. That's what I know for a fact. So yeah, we're going to be going over him as a fighter as a whole, and if he has what it takes to become a champion and a true champion. All right, started off, Conor McGregor is obviously 22-5-0. He's a southpaw, boxing style, taekwondo base. He's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, BJJ. And yeah, his most notable wins have come in 2015 against Jose Aldo and Eddie Alvarez afterwards. If you're wondering why I'm excluding Nate Diaz, because when I'm in the topic of this video, obviously we're talking about champions. We're talking about champion caliber class. And of course, Nate Diaz is a dog. He's a demon, He's one of the best, obviously. But would Nate Diaz ever be a champion in 155? Probably not. Is Nate Diaz ever going to be a champion in 170? Probably not. And although I know you're going to say Nate Diaz has already held the belt before, we're talking about right now in this current era, in this current time, 2021, 2022, 2023, moving forward. Will they be a champion? Are you going to see them crack the top 5, top 3, and maybe interim champion level? And for that, Nate Diaz has not, so that's why I'm giving him. That's why I'm not including him, as we've seen Jose Aldo not only bounce back, but he's in the mix. He's still fighting top contenders. As you see Eddie Alvarez in one championship, he's still doing his thing, fighting top contenders. In my opinion, he won both of his fights, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about the notorious, infamous Conor McGregor. But yeah, anyway, to get into it, we already know about his most notable wins. We already know about his 42nd victory over Donald Cerrone, and we know about his knockout loss to Dustin Poirier. And so, discarding that, we're going to talk about his opposition, because that's really where the meat and potatoes of this whole conversation is going to come from. The reason why I question if he has the ability to become a champion, and even less so a true champion, is because 3 of the top 5 fighters in his division have bases in what he's weak in: wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And especially that being shown with Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler. Obviously with Michael Chandler being a Tyson Woodley type fighter, where he's a wrestler as a main and he's a striker, he's a boxer as a second. We actually, if you follow Michael Chandler on any of his social media platforms, especially Instagram, you would see that, he trains at Stanford's Wrestling Academy all the time. You see him drilling wrestling. He shows those videos. He's very confident in showing his training videos. He posts them all the time. And he's extremely good. He's wrestling D1 athletes. He's wrestling grown men, and he's doing his thing. Charles Oliveira, the Python, is self-explanatory. We see what he did to Tony Ferguson. He damn near broke his arm. We've seen what he's done. He's a monster in his own right, and he's a specialist in his own right. And both those fighters are probably going to have their fights staying on the feet, because they're both so efficient on the ground. But once again, that's neither here nor there. Justin Gaethje is more of a striker with a wrestling as a back draw. Even though he's a dangerous and capable wrestler, he likes to throw, he likes to strike, he likes to bang, he likes to he likes to mix it up a little bit. But of course, if he can, he'll take you down. If he feels like he can physically dominate you to wear you off maybe a round or two, he will do so. But he likes to strike and bang and maybe get you down if he can. And the reason I say this is because Conor McGregor, what is he weak in? He's weak in his ground game. Dustin Poirier took him down too. I think Dustin Poirier actually shot for a takedown within the first 30 seconds of their fight. And I think he had landed a takedown and he had actually got control of ground control on Conor for the latter of the first round into their fight and then the beginning of the second round. But that's neither here nor there. But basically what I'm talking and the point I'm trying to get across to you guys is that these guys have all studied Conor too, because you realize that obviously Conor's the biggest star in the sport. Everyone wants a Conor fight. Everyone wants a red panty night, to quote the main man himself. Everyone wants him, and as the biggest star in the sport, everyone's seeing his face everywhere. And as a professional athlete, especially as a combat athlete, you're gonna. I don't care what anyone says. You prep for the big guys. Like sometimes whenever you go into the gym, you're gonna say, hey, you know what? Let me watch some film on him. Let me check him out. You know what I'm saying? And especially with Conor McGregor getting back into the mix, there is no way that any coach team or any top level, top 5 fighter, someone who actually has a real shot of fighting him, would not train for him. Would not put in their back pocket, in the back of their mind. You know what? Let me get ready for him. You know what I'm saying? And especially in the dominant fashion in which Khabib beat him. Well, not, when I say beat him, obviously Khabib wasn't standing up with him until the very, very later rounds. But in the very dominant fashion, he was able to get control of him on the ground. Everybody's going to watch that, especially if you're a wrestler like Gaethje, like Chandler, like Oliveira. Like, if you guys paid attention, after his loss to Dustin Poirier, Ali Dababides, I know I butchered his name, the first thing he talked about was Dustin Poirier's use of the calf kick. And what he say? Justin Gaethje, imagine Justin Gaethje's leg kicks were through to him. All these fighters are watching the film extremely intently, and they're saying, hey, if he does that, if he can do that, I can do that too. If he did A, maybe I can twist it and do B or C and get the same effect, get the same reaction. You know what I'm saying? So that already lets us know that if Gaethje were to fight Conor, what can we expect? We'd expect a lot of leg kicks in wrestling. So yeah, that's why I was saying that I think it's going to be extremely hard for him to crack the champion caliber class. And I know what you guys are saying, oh, if he beats Dustin Poirier, that would make him a number one contender. Well, that's a kind of tricky situation because you have Justin Gaethje, who literally just fought for the title against Khabib, obviously lost. So that puts him technically in the number one contender stratosphere, right? If Conor McGregor beats Dustin Poirier based off his status alone, and as Dustin Poirier was already stated by Khabib to be the number one contender, the winner of that fight, but obviously we're talking about Conor, so we're going to say if Conor wins, that puts him in the same stratosphere as the number one contender, right? And then obviously the winner or the loser of Chandler versus Oliveira, let's say Oliveira loses, right? That would put Oliveira in number one contender stratosphere. So you'd have Conor, Charles Oliveira, and Justin Gaethje, and how would they battle it out? Now I know what you're gonna say. Well, Conor's star power alone would shoot him into the mix against Chandler as his first title defense. As Michael Chandler has said, if he wins the title, he would want to fight Conor McGregor for his first title defense. Well, as that's very likely too. At the same time, the other fighters are not going to go for that. If you guys remember, Justin Gaethje had actually said a while back that if they gave Conor McGregor an immediate title shot, he would leave the UFC. And a lot of other fighters are doing the same thing because, granted, he's a star, he's a big status, he's big in the sport. There are just certain things you can't do. And especially with martial arts being such a sport about, respect and the intangibles of the sport, that would not fly. I doubt Dana would do that. So you'd have to have another three-way gauntlet between, maybe who else would be a top 5 guy? You could throw Islam Makhachev in there, Paul Felder, who knows? But you'd have to have, okay, let's go Islam. He's another big name, right? You'd have a 4-man gauntlet of Islam, Charles Oliveira, Conor McGregor, and Justin Gaethje, right? So you'd have to have those guys fight it out and see who's the best. And honestly, if Conor does get past Dustin Poirier, I would like to see him fight Gaethje because I think that'd be an excellent fight. And I think not only would that be an amazing fight, the marketing, because Justin Gaethje's attached to Khabib, he's attached to Ali, they're all in that same group. I think the beef in that would create a bunch of headlines. I would love it. I would love it. I would love it. Justin Gaethje's a shit talker too. The fight would be awesome. Justin Gaethje likes to bang. He likes to stand up and get down and dirty and bleed. I think that fight would be awesome too. I would absolutely love that fight, and if I could, I would pay and fly out to see it. So yeah, those are my thoughts. So the verdict, I'm gonna give you guys a verdict. Does he have what it takes to be champion? Yes. Does he have what it takes to be a true champion? I am not sure, so I'm giving it. Does he have what it takes to be a champion? Green light, yes. Does he have what it takes to be a true champion? I'm going for a yellow light. I'm not honestly sure because he's one of the best strikers in the history of the game, yes. But I would honestly have to see how. I don't honestly. Y'all would have to get back to me after the Dustin Poirier fight because Dustin Poirier is so well rounded. I really hope that his fight with Conor goes to from 4 to 5 rounds, 3 to 5 rounds, just so I can really get a good look at Conor's new game because we have not seen him fight an elite level fighter and win since Eddie Alvarez. And although Nate Diaz gave us a lot of good footage, there's stratospheres to the fight game, and he's not on the same level as Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier has been improving so fast. Dustin Poirier is one of the most underrated fighters in the game. His progress has been one of the most underrated in the game. He's improved just as fast, just as rapidly, and as efficiently as Francis Ngannou. Like, if you look at Dustin Poirier's resume, he's a Hall of Famer already. And arguably outside of Khabib, if you take away his loss to Khabib, I would say that Dustin Poirier would have the best record in the lightweight division. Dog is a dude. He's a monster. He's a beast. He's a typhoon of freaking violence. He's just one of them. He's cut from that cloth, and his fight with Conor McGregor is definitely gonna be a showstopper. I wouldn't be mad if Conor lost. Actually, I would be mad because I'm low key a fanboy. I'm not gonna hold. He's like the Mike Tyson of our era, of course. But I really hope I do get to see 3 to 5 rounds of good action to his game because I do want to see what really he can do, and how much of that beast is still left inside of the Notorious. So yeah, those are my thoughts, guys. Once again, if you have not done so already, please subscribe and hit the like button and comment what you think about Conor, what you think about his possibility. Does he have what it takes to climb the mountain again? And if he does, how long do you see him staying at 155? And if he doesn't, who do you think is the one to stop him? Do you think he stops at Poirier? Do you think he stops at Chandler, Oliveira, Gaethje? Let me know what you want to. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I know MMA is an extremely diverse. Y'all are an extremely diverse group of individuals when it comes to your opinions and your thought processes. And I want to hear everything. I want to hear every single thing you have to say. So once again, comment down below, like the video, and share it to your group chats. Let me hear not only what you think, but maybe what some of your fellas and your guys think too in your group chats. And once again, subscribe to the channel too. It really does a lot for me. It really does a lot to help the channel grow. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one.